Hello everyone, welcome to the Conlangfocus channel and my name is Aczu. Today's topic is the Aczu Śavnecze language, or Beauxbâtons Śavnecze. Although found exclusively in Europe, Aczu Śavnecze isn't an Indo-European language. Actually, it isn't even a human language. What? An Earth language not spoken by humans? That's an artistic language. It doesn't exist anyways. This video is a parody of Conlangfocus. Link in the description. History. Aczu Śavnecze is a language isolate spoken by the Himnicoyards or Himnicoyache Alvic beings.
Wait, Alfic?
No, not you, Legolas. Alvic, because they come from the Alvars. An alvar is a limestone plain with thin soil and sparse grassland vegetation that gets flooded in spring and affected by drought in midsummer. It's a rough environment found in northern Europe. Himnicoyards are a nomadic people whose path can be traced back to Lapland and Finland, though they are said to come from as far as the North Pole. Their first mass exodus led them to Greece circa 4th century. Back then, the Aczu Śavnecze was written in Eldefusark, the North Runic alphabet, in a variant called Conlangfocus. For about 5 centuries, the Conlangfocus shifted into its modern form by analogy with how the Phoenician abjad shifted into the Greek alphabet before it. Later on, the Greek minuscule script was developed for Byzantine manuscripts during the 9th and 10th centuries. And because analogy always works, at the same time the Himnicoyards developed lower cases for their alphabet too. That's the shape it kept until today. After the fall of Constantinople in 1453, the Himnicoyards fled Greece alongside the Byzantine scholars, whose travel to the west led to the Renaissance era, and landed in a rather large area around the Gulf of Lion and the Ligurian Sea. That's where they got in contact with the Celtic Dryads and taught them their alphabet. But that's another story. So, what is Aczu Śavnecze like? Let's examine some key features of Aczu Śavnecze. Orthography and pronunciation. As we've just seen, Aczu Śavnecze has a native alphabet with up to 31 bicameral letters. In the Latin transcription, 25 of them are simple letters, while the remaining 6 are digraphs. Most letters are phonemic. That means their transcription corresponds to their sound. A is A, S is S, K is K, and even Q is Q. And so on. C is pronounced sh. D is pronounced t, exactly like T. The distinction was lost somewhere in the past. F is pronounced f. It's like a regular f, but pronounced with the lips only. And both V and W are pronounced v. It's the same sound as f, but voiced. The distinction between V and W is only orthographic. You'll use W after a vowel, or at the beginning of a word if the next letter is an E. That is to say, in a word starting with V. N with an acute accent is not pronounced by itself, but it indicates that the vowel immediately before is nasalized. The other letters with an acute accent are the lateral consonants. C accent is the approximant y, like the double L in Spanish. S accent and Z accent are the lateral fricatives hl and hl, like the double L again in Welsh for the first one, while the second one is pretty rare. You can find hl in Standard Mongolian, for example. The digraphs written with a Z are the affricates ch, z, and ts, while the digraphs written with a H don't follow a regular pattern. Ch is ch, th is th, and ph is the affricate ph. Note that I and J are dotless for purely aesthetic reasons, because it somehow eases the spotting and reading of the acute accents. Also note that there is no letter to represent the O sound. The explanation is that Aczu Śavnecze shows an allophonic reparation phenomenon called contextual O, that consists in putting a O sound to break a consonant cluster that would be otherwise difficult to pronounce or would lead to unwanted sound changes. In the same case, other languages like English would handle it with schwas, the sound E, or with syllabic consonants. Similarly, although not written, the contextual O is syllabic. Syntax. Aczu Śavnece's word order is always SVO. Always? Always. Look at this sentence. Uza luspi krampejlab. This sentence means I eat fish. Here's the subject, the verb, and the direct object. Now look at this one. Zaluspi krampejlavok. This sentence means the fish is eaten by me. The sentence became passive, but the word order didn't change. How? This little prefix U is the benefactive emitter trigger. It tells us that the action of the subject has a positive or neutral impact in a global way. I eat fish, I'm not hungry anymore. Eating that fish was a positive action. In the second case, the suffix ke is the malefactive receptor trigger or topic trigger. It tells us that the action has a negative impact on the object of the sentence. The fish is eaten and that's bad for the fish. Benefactive, malefactive, emitter, receptor, subject focus, object focus. How many triggers are there? Well, you can get up to 8 different triggers. Uza luspi krampejlab. Zate luspi krampejlab. Zalus pikram upejlav. Zalus pikram pejlave. Tsuzalus pikram pejlav. Zanklus pikram pejlav. Zalus pikram tsupejlab. Zalus pikram pejlavok. These 4 are the benefactive triggers. They indicate that the described action or state has positive or neutral consequences. The first one, with the emitter trigger on the subject, is the standard one, the most common. These 4 are the malefactive triggers. They indicate that the described action or state has negative consequences. These 4 are the emitter triggers. They indicate that the above-mentioned consequences are general or moral judgments or affect a third party because of what does the subject or what is done to the object. To see how it affects the meaning of the sentence, let's pause for an example. Uru tocel sietu. This sentence means he or she stole an apple. Word for word, it's malefactive trigger, third person pronoun, stole, this is the past tense, apple. There is no indefinite article. This action is negative, but not to the subject nor the apple. Maybe to the shop owner? Now let's switch to the object focus or passive. Rutocelu sietu. This sentence means an apple was stolen by him or her. The action is still negative to the shop owner, but we insist that what was stolen is an apple. If it were an orange, the shop owner wouldn't have been as sad. These 4 are the receptor or topic triggers. This pair implies that the consequences affect the subject. This pair implies that the consequences affect the object. These 4 are the subject focus triggers. They correspond to the active voice. And these 4 are the object focus triggers. They correspond to the passive voice. Case inflection. As the word order is fixed, there is no need for syntactic cases in Aczu Śavnecze. However, there are 7 semantic cases. The first and foremost is the direct case. Nen means house. That's the quotation form. Whether it's the subject, the object, whatever, its syntactic role is irrelevant. Second, you have the genitive case. Nene It's the possession marker like the apostrophe S in English. For example, Liba nene. This phrase means a house's roof. Word for word, it's roof, house, genitive case. Now you have the directive case, not to be confused with the direct case. Notice that all 5 remaining cases are locatives. Nenush means to or towards house. Nenuil is the ablative case. It means away from house. Nenats is the elative case. It means out of house. Nenads is the elative case. It means into house. And nenem is the perlocative case. It means through house. Noun phrases. Now we've seen how to build a sentence, let's see how to build a noun phrase. Definite article. The definite article in Aczu Śavnecze is p. How am I supposed to pronounce that? You'll ask. Well, before a vowel, the article is phonetically prefixed at the beginning of the word. Pfasli. It means the deer. Before a consonant, we add a contextual O sound at the end of the article. Pforasans. It means the sibling. Note that Aczu Śavnecze doesn't distinguish genders at all. Attributive noun. To modify a noun with another noun, we put it after, contrary to English, with the conjunction tok in between. Let's have an example. Elesis tok poszkować. It means banshee manager. Note that, as for the definite article, all consonant clusters are solved by adding contextual O's. Tok, poszkować. Word for word, it's manager of banshee. You'll see a similar structure for attributive nouns in French. Now, what happens if we want to talk about a specific banshee manager? Felesis topfok poszkować. It means the banshee manager. Word for word, it's definite article, manager. Here you have the definite form of tok and banshee. But that's not the only way to use tok. Nominalization. Like Japanese no, the particle tok can be used before an adjective to nominalize it. Tserpe. This means red, the adjective of color. Pfocerpesil. This means the red feather. Remember, pfo is the definite article for a noun. Here, feather. Tokcerpe. This means the red or the red color. In that case, the particle tok is not a conjunction but a definite article that nominalizes the adjective. Before switching to the next part, let's have a word about number agreement. Number? Not exactly. We'd rather talk about division agreement. In Aczu Śavnecze, there is no distinction whatsoever between singular and plural. However, we may distinguish a whole from a splitted pair or a splitted trio. For our ears, we'll call those divisions the dual and triol. Let's have an example. Singular, greziu. It means wolf or wolves. It doesn't matter how many wolves there are, they form a single cohesive group. Dual, cruziutu. The dual implies that there are at least 2 wolves. But no matter how many wolves there are, they form 2 distinctive groups. The transformation formula is the following. We take the first vowel and shift it following the dual shifting cycle. Here's the chart. In our case, E becomes U. Then we suffix the word with a D, like dual, except this letter is it. Finally, we duplicate the previously shifted letter at the end of the word. Triol, krizyuki. Again, the triol implies that there are at least 3 words splitted into 3 distinctive groups. The formula is similar, but the trial shifting cycle is different and you'll add a Q instead of a D. As long as possible, any quantity can be associated with any division. Let's stick with the walls. Te creziu. It means two walls together, while te creziu tu means two walls separately. You might use the first one if they come at you together, and the second one if they're coming from each side or fighting each other, I guess. The numbers handled by the agreement system are not limited to small digits. Fatpizing creziu. It means 46 walls together. Together doesn't mean there were actually 46 walls moving like one. It just means that in the context of the speech, they represent a single entity. Pimun kreziuki uses a trial agreement. It means 15 walls divided into 3 groups. It doesn't imply that there are 3 equal groups of 5 walls, but provides more precision than just saying 15 walls. Now if you want to say 2 walls packed splitted into 3 groups of 15 walls each, that sums up to 90 walls, the phrase is Te pakreiuka tokpimun kreziu. Pakreiuka is the trial form of pikreiu, wolf pack. That is the contraction of pis kreziu, 10 walls. That suffix form of pis, pi, is used to form a dividable group, like a herd or a pack. In te pakreiuka, we can tell that both packs are divided into 3 groups, thus each pack counts at least 3 walls. If we wrote te kreziuki, the sentence would be grammatically correct, but nonsense semantically. Unless, of course, one wall is sliced in two. To conclude, let's break down a couple sentences. Here's a sentence meaning, you and me are chilling out nearby the forest, listening to the thunderstorm. Te kelchatso mantop fopfimzontesh, tete lekishipantop ve tantem fetishe. Word for word, it's the dual pronouns te, meaning you and me or us, but with the focus on you. It is one of the many pronouns in Aczu Śavnecze. Relax, literally change to well. Present tense, dual person marker. Definite article. Forest, directive case. And then, in a separate phrase, the dual pronoun, reduplicated to indicate it's a simultaneous or close action of the same subject. Alone, it means understand, but can be used in a certain context to mean listen to or look at. The benefactive trigger of the first verb, put onto the subordinate verb to put the focus of the relaxation to the listening. That second verb is also inflected for present tense dual person. That little suffix ve is a conjunction and. It works like que in Latin. Combined with the reduplicated pronoun, it indicates that both actions are done at the same time. Etantem is the perlocative dual form of atam, ear. Together, lekishipam and etantem form an idiom meaning listen carefully, but word for word it's understand through both ears. Definite article, thunderstorm, and the benefactive trigger of the subordinate verb, putting the focus of the listening to the thunderstorm. Let's see a shorter one. This sentence means scorpions never eat carrots. Pfurasrisis torfrus picam cusam tu purethisiat. Word for word, it's definite article, scorpion or scorpions, benefactive trigger, negation marker particle. Note that the negative particle torf is only used if the trigger is a benefactive emitter, like here. Eat, the verb linked to the previous trigger. Present tense, singular is unmarked. Never, and carrot or carrots. Aczu Śavnecze is an interesting language from a linguistical point of view. Like Basque, it's a very ancient language isolate in Europe that mostly resisted evolutions and borrowings from its Indo-European surrounders. Unfortunately, it almost disappeared, and the only human speaker known to me is a war criminal. In and out, and even if you could, it's not worth being learned, as there are between 0 and 100 remaining native speakers, and all of them remains hidden anyways. The question of the day. For my fellow conlangers, have you ever created a non-human language in a modern Earth universe, like, for example, a parallel universe with magic? To speakers of French, vous avez lu ma fanfiction? Follow Conlangfocus, follow the Senesterium on Twitter, Conworkshop, and Reddit, and find more content at senesterium.eu. And to everyone else, thank you for watching and have a nice day!